Hey everyone, I'm Susan Birch and welcome to another video from A Healthy New Zealand. Today's topic is about whether stress may be the cause of your weight gain. Now this is quite a complex topic, so I hope this video will help you understand a little bit more about the process, the kinds of things that your body sees as stresses, and then provide you with some ways to fix that or some solutions for that problem. Our body has an inbuilt alarm system that activates our sympathetic nervous system when we face stressful or high pressure situations. And this is an evolutionary mechanism we inherited from our ancestors who lived in a world of physical threat. Most people have heard of this fight or flight response, which enables the body to quickly engage all the necessary resources needed to fight or run away from danger. And this response is also stimulated by the need to find food and shelter and other activities that are essential for survival purposes. Once the threat's over, our parasympathetic nervous system returns our body to a normal, relaxed state. And this process is called homeostasis. Our alarm system is controlled by a master regulator in our brain called the hypothalamus. When alarm bells ring, the hypothalamus sends a message to the pituitary gland, which then tells the adrenal glands to release cortisol and adrenaline. And this is called the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, HPA axis, which is a bit of a mouthful, I know. This alarm system is stimulated by psychological, physiological, and physical triggers. And our responses are therefore also psychological, physiological, and physical. Initially, the two adrenaline hormones will increase. So these are epinephrine that prepares us to fight and norepinephrine to run away. Our blood pressure and heart rate increase and our muscles get tensed and are ready for action. The liver releases glucose into the bloodstream to provide energy, and we become alert and hyper aware of danger while our tolerance to pain increases. And our immune system also mobilizes and sends out pro-inflammatory chemicals that destroy any pathogens we may encounter when we get injured or if we get injured. And during this time, the parasympathetic nervous system is turned off, so all the available resources can be directed to our immediate survival. So our digestion and growth signals slow down and our sex hormone production is decreased. It takes about 15 minutes after the stressful event for cortisol to rise. And this is what we all know of as our stress hormone. And this stays high for about 2 hours. During this time, cortisol continues to suppress the non-vital functions while stimulating the making of glucose to replenish the stores that were used from our muscle and liver. Glucose is a potent anti-inflammatory, so that helps to counteract the pro-inflammatory effects of adrenaline. It decreases inflammation and controls our immune reactions. Hunger is stimulated to ensure we eat enough nutrients to restore homeostasis. Now, this is a normal and healthy system that ensures we can effectively deal and recover from stress. We don't need to be chased by a tiger for this to happen. Adrenaline cortisol spikes can happen in any situation we find stressful, such as giving a presentation, meeting a deadline, getting up in the night to a sick child. It's also normal to spike during demanding exercise or physical work. And our bodies react without knowing the difference between the stresses that we choose, maybe like exercise and work, and those that are life-threatening. We can end up in trouble when we have continuous and inappropriate alarm reactions. And this is caused by chronic exposure to stresses without the opportunity for adequate recovery. So we could see from the earlier slide that we are exposed to a stress, the stress goes away, and our body takes some time to recover. But if we are just constantly hammered by stressful situations all the time during the day, you know, stuck in traffic, driving to work, getting kids off to school, having a difficult client, and these stress hormones are just constantly being activated, we don't have a chance for our alarm system to turn off. And this ultimately drains our energy and resilience. It causes weight gain, inflammation, mood disorders, and low motivation that eventually affects the quality of our lives. And other symptoms may include chronic pain, high blood pressure, headaches, gut issues, hormonal imbalances, and other conditions such as chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Psychological triggers are brought on by thoughts we have in response to the pressures of our daily lives. Many of us feel constantly overwhelmed and frustrated, guilty and angry about our responsibilities. We often aren't even aware of our daily internal dialogue about financial worries, or thinking that someone doesn't like us, or feelings of failure due to lack of control over our weight, amongst other things. We also face a daily barrage of messages from news and social media channels. Thoughts about politics and the current COVID pandemic can stimulate our HPA axis, releasing cortisol and adrenaline hormones. Constant exposure to psychological stresses often results in panic attacks, high anxiety, depression, and addictive behaviours such as overeating, drug and alcohol abuse. Now, physical stresses such as work and exercise and sports also causes stress. Now, this is normal and healthy, providing we allow ourselves time to recover appropriately and follow a nutritious diet to help us with this. We can then adapt by becoming fitter and stronger and more resilient. However, when the exposure to the stress exceeds our ability to recover, we become injured, lose motivation, gain weight, and experience all the same symptoms we get from chronic psychological stress. Our body is a chemical factory that relies on a nutrient-dense diet for optimal function. A diet high in processed and refined foods is nutrient deficient, and this drives us to consume more food to meet our body's needs. Digestive upsets, food allergies, exposure to toxins, and the release of inflammatory cytokines are all triggers for physiological stress. And other triggers include insufficient exercise and chronic calorie restriction, which a lot of people do when they're dieting. Due to the interconnected nature of all the systems in the body and hormonal crosstalk, this can manifest in many different symptoms. And left unchecked, the thyroid and sex hormones and neurotransmitters may be effective. Cortisol increases fat storage. Cortisol tells the liver to make glucose from fatty acids and amino acids. Because we aren't activating our muscles to fight or run away, we end up with a surplus of glucose circulating in our bloodstream. And these surplus sugars are converted to triglycerides and stored as body fat. And if you want to know more about that process, go and have a look at the video I did on metabolic dysfunction that explains how that all works. We have 4 times as many cortisol receptors in our visceral fat cells than in our subcutaneous fat. We store these triglycerides as visceral fat. And visceral fat cells secrete inflammatory molecules and other damaging products into our circulation, increasing physiological stress that stimulates even more cortisol production. And if you've got a chance to have a look at the slide, just have a look and see how the fat is distributed in the abdominal area. It's got a distinct pattern. And so if you notice that in your own body, it may be an indication that your weight gain or your fat deposition is due to high levels of stress hormones. The process of gluconeogenesis breaks down muscle to make energy. And unless we rebuild muscle by consuming sufficient dietary protein while performing resistance training exercises, we will become under-muscled and over-fat, even if our weight doesn't change. The stimulation of hunger hormones is an ancestral response after a cortisol spike. Our ancestors used a lot of energy fighting and running away from danger. And we experience the same hunger cravings as our ancestors, even when we haven't used our muscles. So if we have chronic stress responses all day at work, we might not feel like eating until we get home and start to relax. And then suddenly we have this insatiable appetite and we generally succumb to high energy, nutrient deficient foods. There are solutions. It's important to remember stress helps us lead fulfilling and productive lives. Chronic stress, however, is bad for us, and it might feel impossible to do anything about the stresses in your life, but there are certainly things you can do. Food and exercise are important. Ensuring you eat a diet with optimal protein and enough healthy fat while controlling your processed carbohydrate intake is a good place to start. And this is particularly important when you know you're under stress. Eating protein before you indulge in a treat can help control overeating and give your body important nutrients. Ensure you recover fully after exercise. Under recovery is a problem that reduces performance and increases the risk of injury. And if you're exercising regularly and not making progress, you may be doing too much rather than not enough. So periodize your program with low, medium, and high intensity days and weeks. And if you're not exercising, start with some easy walking and short, simple body weight training program 2 to 4 times a week. Now, I see a lot of people, or talk to a lot of people who do challenge after challenge at the gym and diet after diet and get very frustrated because their body fat increases and their muscle mass declines. And one of the likely reasons for that is that the stress response has been stimulated and you're in an alarm response rather than an adaptive phase. So perhaps changing things around a bit might make a difference. Get enough sleep. The benefits of sleep can't be emphasized enough. Get up at the same time every morning, even on the weekends, to reset your circadian rhythm. The natural early morning and evening light will help. Try to get outside for 10 to 15 minutes in the morning and evening, whether it's for a walk or to enjoy a morning cup of coffee or an evening glass of sparkling water or herbal tea sitting outside. This will all help restore your circadian rhythm. Managing your technology is important. Reducing the use of technology in the evening is highly advised. This stimulates your HPA axis. Your body doesn't know when the day is beginning or ending. When we're in homeostasis, important regulatory hormones are released at certain times of the day and night. And when your sleep-wake pattern is disrupted, these signaling molecules are either turned off or they can't do their job, and this negatively affects your health. Our alarm response is easily triggered by thoughts, and this is another survival mechanism. Hearing someone lurking in the dark will make us aware of danger and prepare us for fight or flight. However, the thoughts we have these days are often about how we look, how much we weigh, our relationships and success. And they trigger the same danger response, even though they aren't life-threatening. So there are some practices such as thought tagging, mindful breathing, and journaling that can help us understand and manage these better. And get professional help if your thoughts are causing panic attacks, depression, or anxiety. And there's a lot of good help out there. So like all our body systems, the HPA axis is there to help us thrive and survive if we understand it and treat it with respect. So if you think that you may have stress-related weight problems, maybe just take a careful look at some ways that you could reduce the stress and allow yourself more time to recover. Make sure that you're eating really well and just add in some gentle exercise during the day. Thanks very much for listening. I hope this was useful for you. And if you know anyone who may find it helpful, please like and share with them. Have a great day.